Hi, Husky Pups. Do you know where we're going today? Fishing pole, bucket, net. You're right, we're going down to my pond. Miss Batone showed you some pictures of my pond. We love it down there. And there's a wonderful ecosystem that goes all 4 seasons. Today we're going to find out a little bit about that. So let's get started. Our informational writing standards that we're going to explore again this week, 3.W2. Write information in explanatory text to explore a topic can convey ideas and information clearly. 3.W2A. Include illustrations when useful for aiding comprehension. 3.W2B. Develop a topic with facts, definitions, and details. And sometimes the word ecosystem will be interchanged with biomes. This week, we've been looking at having that information written in an informational text in a certain way. We've been practicing using a question. Our question was our hook, and it appeared in our first sentence, followed by an answer, which was followed by letting the readers know what they would learn. Well, in the story today that Ms. Batone read to you, what do you find in a pond? And what is a pond? Well, ponds are small, shallow areas of fresh water. They are bigger than a puddle, but smaller than a lake. So our question was answered right there. More information. Most ponds are filled by a river or by rainfall. Some ponds are human-made, like Mrs. Faulkner's pond. But some ponds are created when a beaver dam holds water back. So the reader knows right up front, we're going to be learning about the pond. We know now there are 3 different ways a pond can be made. So our information, our text to explore in a topic was started by our question, our hook. But our hooks aren't always written in a title or the first sentence. You can also place that in, what do you think? If you look at this page right here, look at this picture. Can you name the living and non-living things found in this pond system? So you go over and you look, and you might look and say, this is an actual photograph model. Sunlight, plants, rocks, water, and fish are all labeled. But I'm looking at this illustration or model, and it looks a little different. Scientists use models, such as this computer diagram of a pond's ecosystem, to help them understand how living and non-living things are connected. So we have 2 different illustrations or models, but they both represent the ecosystem. One is a photograph, and one is a computer-generated model. 2 other examples of illustrations that are a little different, but they have similarities. If you look at this diagram, it has pictures showing examples of a pond food chain. Now the food chain starts with the algae, then it goes to the snail, then it goes to the frog. And throughout the week, you've seen the food chains throughout all of our other books. Excellent way to show the progression. Now look at the other page where they're talking about gills. Gills are very small in fish and tadpoles. So the illustrator decided to use a blow-up model so that you could actually see and understand where the gills were. So to include the illustrations when useful for aiding comprehension, we just had 4 different examples to help the reader understand. Think about the book Ms. Batone read to you today about the pond ecosystem. Write 3 questions about the illustration or models after listening to the book. Go back and listen to the story or reread the book on Epic and look carefully at the illustrations and models to write your 3 questions. You've been writing your 3 questions from the text. Today you're going to write those questions from the illustration or models. Question 1, find one that you really like. Find another model, and then find a third model. Life in a pond. Now, if you look at this page, it follows our third standard. Develop a topic with facts, definitions, and details. And there's two words that jump right out at us, the word survive and the word energy. The word survive's definition is right in the sentence. That's one way you can write it. But the other, you could write it in the glossary or words to know. Plants and animals both need non-living and living things in order to survive or stay alive. Plants need air, water, and sunlight to make their own food. The food gives them energy to grow. So in that sentence, it doesn't really tell us what the definition is. You might need to use the word to know or glossary. Throughout this week, we've had all of those examples of bold words, and the definitions are followed in the words to know. Think about the book Miss Batone read to you today about the pond ecosystem. Create an illustration or model with labels from something you learned about. Go back and listen to the story or reread the story on Epic and write down 2 new pond ecosystem vocabulary words and their definitions. So in the first part of the writing assignment, you had to find 3 examples of those illustrations or models and then write a question. Now you're going to get a chance to use one of those, or you can select another model from the book. Create it, make sure it has those details in the drawings, and make sure that you label. When you're finished, you're going to write 2 words and their definitions that you learned about today. You can write the definition right in the sentence, just like we saw on the previous page, or you can make a little glossary and put those words in the glossary. ELA reading and writing standards are hooked together. Main idea is supported by the key details. That is just what you're going to do today, again with using your hook. Then you're going to make sure that you have that content vocabulary, our next 2 standards, making sure that you have those new content vocabulary definitions with those words. And then you're going to make your illustration, your diagram, or your model, making sure that they are labeled. All of these help the reader understand, and as the writer, you want to make sure that you're giving all of the standards to your reader. We can't wait to see what you are writing today. You're putting all of the things that we've learned Monday through Wednesday together for today's lesson. Tomorrow, you're really going to be excited about what's going to happen on our next ecosystem. So I'm going to take my fishing pole and my bucket and my net, and I'm off to my pond today. So enjoy your writing, boys and girls. I can't wait to read what you've written.